Hi, Bobcats. Today our read aloud is Juna's Jar. It's one of my favorite books to read. I know I say that about all of the books, but I love books, so what are you going to do? In your library choice packet that was sent out on Monday, there is a little activity that goes with this, and then there's a link to a video of kids trying kimchi for the first time. So that's kind of interesting. If you've never had kimchi before, maybe it's something you might want to try. Anyway, this is Juna's Jar by Jane Bach. Juna's family always had a large jar of kimchi in their fridge. After they finished eating all the kimchi, Juna sometimes got to keep the empty jar. Juna loved to take the jar and go on adventures with her best friend Hector. They went to the park near their apartment building to collect colorful rocks and small bugs. Once, Hector found a green caterpillar, and Juna worried that it wouldn't have what it needed to make a cocoon, so they let it go. That was a good idea. One morning, Juna went looking for Hector to go on another kimchi jar adventure. She ran downstairs to his grandmother's apartment. "Hi, Abuelita," Juna said to Hector's grandmother. "Can Hector come out and play?" "Hola, Juna," said Hector's grandmother, giving her a hug. "I'm sorry, Hector is not here." And then she told Juna that his parents had come the day before and taken Hector to live with them in a big house far away. Hector had wanted to say goodbye, but Juna was not home. Juna was very sad. When she got back home, her big brother, Mino, tried to cheer her up. He took Juna to Mr. Lee's pet shop and bought her a small fish. Juna watched the fish swim in circles in her jar. That night, when everyone else was asleep, Juna put on a diving mask and fins, and she dove into the water. Look how big her fish is now. Look over here. Wow. Juna's fish took her everywhere. They swam with sea turtles, played with dolphins, and discovered a giant clam. "Can you help me find my friend Hector?" Juna asked. They swam to a dark underwater cave. Hector wasn't there, but they found huge snakes slithering in the sand. When Juna got closer, she saw that they were actually tentacles. Juna wondered if they belonged to an octopus, or maybe a giant squid. I wish Hector was here, Juna thought. He knows everything about animals. Look, there's the squid. Is that a squid or an octopus? I don't know. I can't count how many legs it's got. By the next day, Juna's fish had grown so big that its mouth already nearly touched its tail. "Oppa, my fish needs more space," Juna said to Minho. With his help, Juna put her fish in the aquarium in their living room. Juna's jar was empty again. I skipped a page. Minho had an idea. He gave Juna a small bean plant that he had grown at school for his science class. They found some soil and carefully put the plant in the jar. That night, when everyone else was asleep, Juna put on hiking boots and climbed down the plant into a lush green rainforest. Juna swung on vines and climbed a tree with a sloth and sang with howler monkeys. "Have you seen my friend Hector?" she asked them all. One monkey pointed to the river and then jumped away. As Juna got closer to the water, she saw that the rocks in the river began to move. They weren't rocks at all. It was the back of an alligator or a crocodile. She wasn't sure which one it was. I wish Hector was here, she thought. He would know. Do you know the difference between a crocodile and an alligator? By the next day, Juna's plant had almost reached the ceiling. Oppa, my plant grew too big for my jar, Juna said. Mino helped Juna put the plant back into a large pot on their balcony. And soon Juna's jar was empty again. Mino and Juna walked out to the park, and a cricket chirped in the bushes. Juna quietly snuck up to the cricket and cupped her hands around it, and then she placed it gently into the jar. Mino helped her find twigs and leaves, and they put them in the jar too. And when they got home, Juna punched holes in the lid of the jar so the cricket could breathe. That night, when everyone else was asleep, Juna put on goggles and a helmet and hopped onto the cricket's back. Wow. Juna and the cricket rode through the night sky together. They flew over tall buildings that looked like giant steps leading to the moon. They followed a trail of cars that lit up the hill like a string of holiday lights. Look at that. What a view, huh? And then the cricket landed on a windowsill of a big house, and Juna peeked in the window. And there was Hector, asleep on his bed. And on the bedside table was the kimchi jar that Juna had given him. Hector looked like he was having happy dreams. And Juna smiled. "Bye, Hector," she whispered, and then she hopped under the cricket's back and flew home. Juna looked around the park and wondered what she could put in her jar next. "I wish," she thought. "Look what I found," a girl behind her said. "Can we put it in your jar?" Juna turned around. A green inchworm was wriggling up the girl's arm, and Juna smiled and held out her jar. The end. That's an interesting story, isn't it? You think Juna was really going all of those places, or was she using her imagination? Which sometimes when you can't go anywhere, your imagination and books are a great way to get to go places when you have to stay where you are. If you had a jar, an empty jar like Juna had, whether it's a kimchi jar or a jelly jar, what would you put in your jar? Something to think about, and something to draw on the activity page that was included in your Monday packet. So until the next time, I hope you have a lovely day. I'm Mrs. Lofton. I miss you all terribly, and I'll see you when we read again.